Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you so much for joining us for today's episode of Recruit Military Live, where we will be highlighting our amazing military spouses and discussing various tools, resources, and advancements in the world of military spouse employment. And what a great way to ring in the upcoming Military Spouse Appreciation Day. Today's episode will also be an active Q&A session more than usual, so please feel free to drop any relevant questions or comments you may have down below in the comments section, or just let us know where you're tuning in from. We'd love to hear from you. As always, my name is Gabby Florez, and I am joined by my amazing co-host, Raul Torres. Good morning, Raul. How's it going your way?
Good, Gabby. How you doing today?
Fantastic. Can't complain. We've been having some amazing weather. My kids are off to the flag football playoffs this weekend where, championship is coming, baby. Let's go. So I'm hyped up. It's a great week. How about you?
Good. Probably spent the last few weeks doing mulching, dethatching, fertilizing. I'm over it. I'm getting ready. I want the weather to come, like the hot weather to come. But then when it's here, I'm gonna be like, no, I'm good on that. So
Love the
I
gardening
should
era for
enjoy
you.
it.
I have a black thumb. I'm the worst. I cannot keep anything but humans and animals alive. Plants are off the table. So I love that for you, not for me.
One or the other, right? But hey, coming off the heels of a very successful military spouse virtual career fair yesterday, we have someone who is very familiar with that realm, and we have him here today. He is a senior career coach with the Spouse Education and Career Opportunities Program, SECO. He's been with SECO for 4 years and thoroughly appreciates the privilege of serving military spouses as they strive to achieve their professional and educational goals. Prior to his work with mil spouses, he worked for 20 years in career services at the college level. He has a master's in counseling and is a certified workforce development professional. Ladies and gentlemen, please join us in welcoming back Michael Cronk. Michael, welcome.
Hey, thank you, Gabby and Raul. Thanks for that wonderful introduction, Raul. And it's great to be back with you all. I cannot believe it's been a whole year. Time sure does fly. I was thrilled to be part of that virtual career fair yesterday with Recruit Military, presenting to some of the spouses. I hope some of them are with us today, but it's wonderful to be back again with you all.
Absolutely. Yeah, you're talking about, can't believe it's been a year. I can't believe we're already in May of this year. Like I'm getting ready for New Year's already, I'll tell you what. But thank you. Absolutely. Every time we have you on, Michael, it's an absolute joy. And I feel like not only we, but our audience learns so much about, the military spouse employment space. So if you could go ahead, we heard your amazing bio, but just give us a little bit more detail of what it is that you do over at SECO.
For sure. So I'm really privileged with my many colleagues to exist to simply serve you as a military spouse. Our goal is your employment, and ultimately employment in your professional realm, but also recognizing at times you just may need a job. But SECO exists to help you with all of those various elements and it's all free. So we are here to serve you by helping you with career exploration, the job application process with resumes and cover letters and interview skills. We're also here to serve your educational goals by providing you with access through our My CAA or My Career Advancement Account Scholarship. Just lots of ways, full service for you. And to make sure that when I say military spouse, I want to make sure you also know exactly what we mean in terms of SECO. If you are a spouse of an active duty service member, a National Guard service member, or a reserve service member, you are eligible for SECO's services free of charge. And that also includes if your service member has recently separated from the military. So we serve you for the first 365 days post separation or retirement from the military. And then after that, we rely on our wonderful partners like you all with Recruit Military to continue to serve our veteran spouses going forward.
Absolutely. And you kind of jumped right into it, the qualifications of what exactly our military spouses need in order to qualify for the program. Was there anything else outside of those that you mentioned that they need to ensure they check those boxes before wanting to reach out for your services?
Sure. We also do serve spouses of our fallen service members. So that is a very special group that we want to honor the sacrifice that that spouse has made themselves, and we provide permanent assistance to those spouses of our fallen service members.
I appreciate you clarifying, Michael, because we get that question a lot, like, hey, who's eligible for these programs? So if you're a spouse watching, make sure to drop any other questions you might have in the chat so we can answer them during the Q&A session later.
Yeah, for sure. So our charge is based upon congressional authorization via the Department of War. So that is why we are limited to serving veteran spouses for that first full year. Again, that's why we have such great partnerships with RecruitMilitary and other wonderful nonprofits to continue supporting those veteran spouses.
Absolutely. Teamwork makes the dream work. So
For sure.
gotta stay together. And one program that we recently found out about that you had mentioned previously, kind of, in parallel to the Skill Bridge program for our service members is, the SECO Career Accelerator program. I would love for you to talk a bit more about that because I don't know if there's many spouses out there that are aware of that program.
For sure. So many spouses over the previous 3 years may be aware of or recall the Hiring Our Heroes Military Spouse Career Accelerator Pilot, which was sort of, again, it was the pilot program that ultimately led to the creation of what we now have as the Career Accelerator program that was fully brought into SECO and made permanent. The whole idea of the Career Accelerator program is we have so many military spouses who have either the education and training or past experience in a particular career field, but maybe they are new to get back to work. So for those spouses who left the employment realm for a number of years to maybe be a stay-at-home parent, or had be due to frequent PCSs or even being OCONUS, kind of left their profession or trying to get into it. And of course, we have so many spouses who recently complete their college education or their training for certifications and licensure and are ready to get to work, but maybe don't have that experience, right? We see all these jobs out there that require a certain amount of experience. The Career Accelerator program's goal is to bridge that gap of experience. Most simply, the Career Accelerator program is a fellowship. It is a paid, full-time, 12-week fellowship where you as a military spouse can register for the program working with a career coach like myself. Once we get you into that program, you are then searchable by our hosts, our host employers. And they can reach out to you and say, hey, based upon your MySECO profile, your resume, you look like the type of person that we would want to bring in, give you on-the-job training, paid on-the-job training for 12 full weeks. So you're actually being paid by the government while you're then working full-time for that particular organization. The whole idea behind this too, though, is that when these hosts are offering these fellowships, we are asking them to only create a fellowship when they have a full-time job opportunity at the other end of it. Now, that does not guarantee that you're going to get a job at the end of it for lots of different reasons. It may not work out for you, the spouse, or maybe, it's a little outside of your education realm, whatever it may happen to be. But the goal is that fellowship is intending to lead to employment opportunities at the end of it. So this is a phenomenal program. We really appreciate the work of Hiring Our Heroes, getting this pilot up and going and working out all the tough things that go with any new program. But now we have amazing opportunities. We currently have over 75 fellowships that are available that our hosts are recruiting for. I know for a fact that we have had many spouses not only take part in fellowships, but we also have current spouses who are employed by that host company due to participating in that fellowship.
That's awesome.
That's fantastic because it is a very common question regarding the Skill Bridge, the DOW Skill Bridge program, if military spouses are, qualify for that as well. And unfortunately, they don't. It is meant for transitioning service members. But what an amazing program to, parallel that for military spouses Now, with that program, is it the same qualifications that we spoke in regards to what qualifies you just for programs under SECO, or are there specific qualifications for this program?
If you otherwise qualify for SECO by virtue of being that active duty, guard, or reserve spouse, and if you are still within that 365 days post separation, that makes you eligible for SECO, and that also makes you eligible for the Career Accelerator. There are a few more steps to get you enrolled, but really the only other sort of qualification for sure is that you can't be currently full-time employed, for the obvious reason that you're not then, able to take on this fellowship. So if you are currently full-time employed, you're not eligible. And if you have already completed a fellowship, then you're no longer eligible, because we want to make sure that all spouses have the opportunity to compete for and take part. But again, those are the good problems to have. If you're already employed or you've already done a fellowship, then we want to make sure other people are getting their turn. But otherwise, if you are eligible for SECO, then you do need to work with a career coach to get approved in the program. But that's really a matter of completing steps rather than not missing out because of any other sort of qualifications.
Absolutely. So thank you for clarifying that. You also mentioned kind of a bit of the obstacles that some of our military spouses may already be, going through, enduring, or have in the past, whether that's constant PCSs, deciding to take a break from the employment world to more focus on the homestead. Can you dive a bit more into, in your position, what the most common and popular struggles are within our military spouses?
Absolutely. Well, right now, or let me say this, as of 2024, which is the last time a major survey was done of spouses, there's the Department of War does surveys every couple of years. The unemployment rate for military spouses was at 20%. And our goal is to get that lower, and ideally even lower than the national unemployment rate, for the simple reason that our military spouses are highly educated, highly qualified, and highly capable people. But you all, as spouses, of course, do run into obstacles that are completely outside of your control. You may find out that you are up and moving across the country, or that you may be up and moving across continents, across oceans to other places. And we know that makes a struggle. We know that takes you out of a job you already had, or specifically takes you out of something you've been trained and educated for, because you aren't able to pursue that career maybe while you're abroad, or maybe you're going to be in a part of the country where there just isn't access to those types of opportunities. And so we can continue working with you during those times, and the Career Accelerator Fellowship is a way to then bridge that gap, to maybe keep you involved, getting you experience. And something I failed to mention earlier, but really ties into what you asked, Gabby, is the fellowship program is now open to spouses who are OCONUS. So that's actually been an upgrade since the pilot program. The pilot program was only available to CONUS spouses. For those living in the U.S., it is now open to OCONUS spouses as well. So if you're in Europe or Asia, we are, providing opportunities. Now, of course, they're maybe more limited based upon what the employer is able to offer, but at least it gives you a chance where there wasn't one before. And there are also remote opportunities as well. Previously, there were some remote opportunities, but it really focused on in-person roles. And certainly there are a predominance of in-person roles, but we are steadily working with a host to increase remote opportunities going forward as well.
That's great.
Yeah, that's phenomenal, because you guys are really touching, keeping kind of that close factor on what is really going on outside within the military spouse world. Working from home is very important, because maybe they want to have a job, but they, have a family to take care of at home. So being able to do that. Also, OCONUS, that's a very popular question that we get as well, as, are there any positions out here for me? This is where I am. I'm having no luck. So I'm sure it's greatly appreciated that you're taking all of those, factors into consideration as well. Now, when it comes to resources and support that is out there, what all does, MSEP and SECO have? And then, even further outside of that?
For sure. So, number one, you have folks like myself. We are career coaches. We are all master's level educated, and we all have experience serving in the career services role. So, one-on-one free support to help you, our military spouses, again, with all aspects related to your professional goals and attainment, starting you out with helping you explore opportunities, using assessments and other resources to help you figure out what it is what you want to do, helping you find and access education and training. We're going to talk a little bit more about some of those specifics in a moment, but helping you get the education and training you need to actually be competitive. We then also offer full access to job search services, again, things like resumes and cover letters and interview skills, teaching you best practices for the job search. If any of you did take part in my training session yesterday, you saw all some of those specific ones that we offer. I'm happy to also answer any questions about all those going forward too. But then also we have our employer partners through the Military Spouse Employment Partnership, or MSEP. That's our job board, and it's exclusively available to military spouses. We currently have over 950 employer partners, and that really is growing daily. These partners have all been vetted by the Department of War in order for them to take part in this program. And to take part, they can't just simply say, oh yeah, spouses are great, we want to hire them. They actually have to prove and be vetted to show that they have policies and practices in place to actively recruit spouses, to actively hire spouses. And not only that, to try to retain spouses and promote spouses. So when you as a spouse get employed by one of these MSEP partners, and then you find out that you have a PCS, they're going to do everything they can to keep you employed with their company, no matter where you go. And then also, if for whatever reason they're not able to keep you, logistics happen, life happens, but they're actually going to then take it upon themselves to try to network with their fellow partners, employer partners, say, hey, we've got this great spouse. We just can't hang on to her, but we know you're located over in that particular part of the country. We'd love to see if there's a role that you have for her. So even on the employer side, on the employer side, they're trying to help you stay employed within the partnership, of course, on top of the work that as career coaches, we're going to be helping you with.
That's phenomenal. And I can't tell you how much of a difference that truly makes, that you guys are actually going the extra mile. And as you mentioned, vetting these employers, because it's one thing to talk the talk, but a whole other to walk the walk. And for these military spouses, they're right along these service members. And, of course, if they have a family as well, moving every couple years is already as difficult as it is. But if you're trying to remain a workforce professional and continue your career, I can only imagine the frustration. Our jobs as service members, it's there waiting for us at our next duty station. We are getting that paycheck on the 1st and the 15th, 100%. But being that military, right? Being that military spouse, that can come with a whole other level of anxiety, and knowing that they kind of have that support from that employer, and then that assistance on the back end if they aren't able to transfer that job to their new location, that they're still going to have that support. So I can't even fully understand the spectrum of how much I'm sure our military spouses appreciate that.
Absolutely, for sure. And even while on the job with these wonderful employer partners, we know that spouses on the job need that flexibility and support when the service member suddenly gets orders to deploy. It's not like the family stops existing, right? The kids still have to go to school, they have to be fed, that spouse has a job. These employers are also going to try to provide that support and flexibility, give the spouse the time that they need to get arrangements made so they can continue working while, of course, providing that much needed added support to their family on top of the day-to-day support that we all provide as parents.
1000%. And so not only, of course, are you guys there to assist and guide and support within the career spectrum, but you also offer assistance when it comes to educational support. And I know that's something, another very popular topic within our military spouses, because a lot of them utilize maybe that downtime away from civilian employment to focus on advancing their education. Can you go a bit more into that?
For sure. So many spouses who work with SECO come to us because they heard about the scholarship that they can do. And absolutely, we are very proud of the MyCAA, or My Career Advancement Account Scholarship. This is the only program within SECO that does have some limitations as to who's eligible. So I do want to make that clear. But the MyCAA scholarship does offer a $4,000 grant to help military spouses achieve their educational goals by either putting that funding toward an associate's degree program or toward attainment of a certification or licensure. There are many careers out there that are highly portable that our spouses are very interested in that may not require a full degree, but certainly need that very specific direct training leading to a nationally accredited scholarship. And so the grant provides flexibility for that spouse. Now, I do want to mention what those limitations are as well. So this scholarship is exclusively available to our active duty spouses. Okay, so it's not available to Guard and Reserve, except for one exception. If that Guard or Reserve sponsor, that service member, is activated on Title 10 orders within that particular service branch, then the spouse does become eligible to have that scholarship during that activated time. So that is something important to know, that if you, especially if you've worked with us in the past as a Guard or Reserve spouse, and you get that call that your service member is going to be activated, obviously you got some things to take care of, but absolutely make sure we're on the to-do list to call, because we want to make sure you can gain access to that scholarship as you need it.
Thank you for clarifying that, Michael, because I remember my wife and I kind of like looking through those through that program, but it might have been too late in my transition, like getting ready to transition out the military, for her to be like eligible for it. So appreciate that.
Sure
And
thing.
just another reminder, I was just going to remind the audience, hey, there's a lot of comments, there's a lot of questions that we always get from spouses. This is your time to shine. So ask the questions and we'll make sure to get to them.
Right. We're definitely getting some appreciation, by the way, Michael. We have a military spouse, saying thank you for the information provided. She chose to engage with the content to gain a better understanding of available resources and opportunities. It's what we're here for. And although she's a veteran spouse, she found the information valuable and appreciates the support. And I can't tell you, if we think that service members are the ones to shy away from asking for help or reaching out, military spouses are right there along with them. They may have just, that they caught on to that characteristic as well. So we absolutely love hearing, the appreciation and knowing that this information is actually going out there and reaching people. So thank you again, Michael. As a reminder, people are very grateful. So you spoke about the scholarship program as well, but what else is out there? Because I learned this from you, previously speaking about these extra resources, and I always learn something new.
For sure. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention too, with the MyCA scholarship, and I apologize, there's always so much information to share. It's always after the fact, oh yeah, I should probably mention this. So the scholarship is available to, like I said, active duty spouses for all enlisted ranks, but it's limited to warrant officers 1, 2, and 3, and then commissioned officers 1, 2, and 3. So I did want to mention that as well. And really the reason it has, of course, to do with pay scales, of the upper level warrant officer, commissioned officer ranks. But then it's also, the goal too is to help those spouses really get started with their careers. And so as spouses do advance in their careers, usually they're able to then, finance any additional education. But so it really does help those spouses who are getting started in the career field, or maybe they, again, have been out of the workforce and they're really kind of getting back to the career field and need that additional help to get themselves going. So, but for all of our spouses who are otherwise eligible for SECO, we do have a wonderful partnership with Udemy. Udemy is an online company that does education and training. I know a lot of our spouses are able to access Coursera through some of their partnerships. Udemy is one where we partner specifically with us through SECO. All SECO spouses, all those who are registered with MySECO, are eligible to utilize Udemy for 1 full year. And we have over 5,000 webinar and virtual training type self-paced education programs across lots of different industries for professional development, helping you with certifications, helping you with continuing education, or learning something new. I worked with a spouse recently who did a formal training in GIS, geographic information survey type of work. And one of the things her program didn't cover that she was seeing some jobs needed was training and education in certain softwares. And so she's actually using Udemy to supplement what she did in college to get herself more qualified for those roles.
That's fantastic. And that's something that is only going to become, more and more relevant and important is as, advancements in technology, keeping up with these certifications and these trades is very important. And this is definitely an amazing resource to utilize. My Red Bull is catching up with me, you guys. Like my mouth isn't moving as fast as my brain this morning. So I'm like tripping over my words, but it's like coupled with excitement. But this is amazing because I think that's a limitation, right? The military spouse is like, I want to do A, B, and C, but I don't know of what resources that's out there that I can utilize. So that's another amazing resource.
For sure. And all you need to do is either visit our website, myseco.militaryonesource.org, or call into our phone line. That it's going to be 800-342. And let me just confirm, because as soon as I say it out loud, I know I always forget the last four digits. That is 9647. 9647. So that's,
and we can also drop that in the chat as well.
Absolutely. I'm going to do that for sure. And we are open wonderfully all over the place. So we are actually open 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern time, Monday through Friday, and then 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern time on Saturdays. And that's only just to ask questions, but that's also to take appointments with career coaches. So we recognize, because our spouses are all over the world and all over the country, we need to be available when you're accessible. So we don't expect you to be, up at 3 o'clock in the morning to do a session, but maybe later evening, depending on if you're living in Asia, or maybe early morning. But absolutely, we want to be accessible to you.
That's phenomenal. And so when it comes to military spouse employment and, initiatives and advancement, it's not something that we really typically hear about a lot when it comes to especially the political side and the advancements of that within the government agencies. What's going out there in the world right now that military spouses should know about?
For sure. Well, the Department of War is really making an emphasis on military spouse employment. It's certainly something that has been talked about, and that's why SECO has existed for almost 14 or 15 years. But certainly of late, we are seeing a lot of work at the administration level to ensure that military spouses are being given every consideration possible for employment. To that end, the Department of War is setting policies so that for administrative staff, civilian roles within the Department of War, military spouses need to be given strong consideration. And in fact, if a military spouse applies, the department has to be able to explain why either that spouse wasn't considered or wasn't chosen. So they're actually the department is being tasked with explaining why spouses aren't being given that consideration if they're otherwise qualified. So really, it's putting the onus on the administration, on the recruiters and the department managers to say, hey, this is a great spouse. He or she is highly qualified. We're going to give them all due consideration, with those preferences. So the whole goal behind this is recognizing that the military can only be as successful as our service members are able to be supported. And that support isn't just their own financial well-being, but knowing that the family is being financially taken care of. And spouse employment is essential to that. That stable home unit, and let's face it, how, as a society, we've been a two income households for certainly my entire career, and certainly much longer than that. And so that doesn't change because someone takes the ownership of joining the military. And we don't want to leave those spouses behind, because they are so essential, not only to that service member support, but also being able to retain that service member, when their contract is up, either recommissioning or reenlisting. And so the Department of War recognizes that they need to be the standard bearer of spouse employment by ensuring that those spouses are every opportunity, being given every opportunity to be employed with them, and hoping then that it also spreads, of course, throughout the federal opportunities throughout the government. Of course, there's lots of opportunities for spouse preferences through SA Jobs, and then of course continuing through the private sector with our military spouse employment partnership.
You're not wrong about the two income household. I can hear my wife in the other room on her call. So
For sure.
Make a living. And so with all of these updates, there's also a webinar, right, that our military spouses can tune in for further information on this.
Absolutely, and this is actually specifically related to the DOWEA, so DOWEA. That's the Department of War Education Activity. So, of course, most of us know that the Department of War has its own school system. Of course, schools all over the country, throughout installations, and even OCONUS as well. And currently, 29% of the employees within DOWEA are military spouses. And of course, the department wants to be able to increase that number. And so they are going to be hosting a webinar on May 26th at 2 p.m. Eastern to talk about opportunities. Now, these opportunities are not exclusively for teaching faculty, but for education aides and certainly non-teaching staff administration roles that keep these schools running. And so be on the lookout. And I think we're going to be able to put the links to these in the chat following. Is that true, Gabby? Excellent.
Yes.
So that you can access that, bookmark it. But even just today, going to DOWEA and looking at the opportunities, you're going to see there's so many roles, wonderful opportunities across the country. You know, certainly it's a rather large school district because it's literally the entire world. So lots of opportunities across the board. And we certainly hope that those spouses who are in the education system consider that, and certainly as well, even the non-teaching side of education as well.
1000%. And so we've talked about so many programs, so many resources within SECO and MSEP, but there's also one more coming up right on the 21st. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely, for sure. So right on the heels of RecruitMilitary's great virtual career fair yesterday, SECO is really excited about our own upcoming virtual hiring fair. That's going to take place on this month on May 21st. From 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Eastern. You do have to register with my SECO to attend. So all you need to do, if you haven't worked with us previously, please go to our website. And if you are eligible for SECO resources, you're able to log in and create an account. If you've already used SECO, just log back in and you can't miss it. There's information on the homepage as well on the virtual calendar. The wonderful thing about this fair, we have I think it was almost 50 employers participating as of last week. I'm sure that we're going to have some more join between now and the 21st. But as soon as you register, within a day or two of that, you'll be sent a link to join the Zoom lobby of the event ahead of time so that you can research the employers who are participating and the opportunities that they are recruiting for. So this gives you the opportunity to really research those organizations ahead of time, take notes on the ones that you want help with, get your resume ready. And of course, you can work with SECO free of charge, work with us between now and that event to get yourself prepared, get that resume fleshed out, as well as to ensure that you've got that great elevator pitch. So when you do introduce yourself to those employers, you have that great conversation that can hopefully follow up with a promising lead.
Absolutely. And that's in a couple of weeks. So you got some time to reach out to Michael and his team and get some of that one-on-one career coaching.
I'll tell you, hurry on in and get some help now because it has already gotten busy. Many of you know from yesterday, we have our on-demand resume review service where you can actually email in your resume and get it returned to you within 3 business days. And boy, oh boy, have you all been taking part, because I'm part of that, managing that program, and we have resumes coming in left and right. So part of me is like, absolutely keep them coming. Part of me is like, woo, slow down.
Get off more than I can chew, but it's a great problem to have,
It's exactly right. It's a wonderful problem to have.
Yeah, and I just wanted to plug in our own transitioning service member and spouse VCF. That's also on June 9th. So if you were able to make yesterday's, if you can make it May 21st or not, June 9th, we're also focusing on transitioning vets and spouses.
Thank you, Raul. Yes, great reminder. And thank you again, Michael, for joining us today to spread the great word of what MSEP and SECO is doing and all the amazing resources and programs that are out there to support them during their transition to, whether it's education, whether it's career, we're here to help along with Recruit Military. So any last parting words for our military spouses out there?
Well, sure. If you have a moment, I do see a question from Lucy
Oh,
asking about
sure.
non-USA USA jobs. And yes, for sure. And I didn't. There's so much going on with this. The memo that went out that talks about the hiring, not only with the WEA but with the DOW.
Mhm.
Part of the goal of the DOW then is to also try to make sure that as many jobs as possible fall outside of the traditional federal hiring USA jobs, so that they can be direct hires for our military spouses who are qualified. So that is part of the process, is trying to make sure that as many jobs go as possible to qualified military spouses. So, stay tuned. This is a brand new initiative. So of course, lots of kinks to work out and processes to change and update. But Lucy, I appreciate that question and certainly know that that is something that is being worked on as we speak.
We even got a proud customer, got my review to resume back yesterday from SECO.
Nice.
So she felt that comment. She was like, I was one of them.
And you know what? Theus was in our session yesterday that he did. And in fact, Theus, the review was done by a different coach. But as part of my administrative duties, I actually emailed that review right back to you. So I knew for sure that you did it because I emailed it to you I think it was yesterday morning or this morning. I can't remember which one it was, but I'm so thrilled that you took part of that. And we look forward to other spouses doing the same.
I love that. I feel like I'm watching this all happen real time. Like I'm part of the process.
Yeah.
We're seeing how the butter gets turned, y'all. Well, thank you again, Michael, for coming. As you can just see by the replies in the comments, your services and what you do in support of our military spouses is greatly appreciated and very much needed. So thank you for continuing to do that. And I'm sure we'll have you on again, next year or even before that. But until then, thank you everyone else for joining us for today's episode of Recruit Military Live, and happy soon to be Military Appreciation or Military Spouse Day. Thank you for everything you do. And we will see you next time. Have a good one.
See ya.
Thank you all.